Okay, today we're going over 5.2 properties of parabolas. So the standard form of a parabola is going to be a quadratic, which is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So when the value of a, the number in front of x squared, is positive, a greater than 0 means positive, because any number greater than 0 is a positive number. If a is positive, then the parabola will face up. If a is less than 0, a less than 0 means negative, because any number less than 0 is a negative number, then it faces down. Okay? So in order to graph it, one of the things we need is the vertex. So we're going to look at how we find the vertex. So in order to find the vertex, we're going to use the equation x equals negative b over 2a. And this is going to find two things for us. It's going to find the axis of symmetry, and it's going to find the x part of the vertex. Okay, so let's take, for example, y equals 3x squared plus 12x plus 8. Okay, so just by looking at the equation, we know it's facing up because the value of a is a positive 3. So we can plug in our values. If you want, you can write down a is 3, b is 12, and c is 8. Okay, just lining it up with standard form. So we're going to go ahead and plug that into our equation here to find the x part of the vertex and the axis of symmetry. And the axis of symmetry, what that does is, if we have a parabola facing up, it's going to take the parabola and cut it in half. And we know that any vertical line is x equals a number, and that's what we're finding right now. X equals negative b over 2a. Okay, so we're going to plug that in, and we're going to get x equals a negative b, so negative 12, over 2 times a, 2 times 3. So we have a negative 12 over 2 times 3 is 6, and that's a negative 2. So we have x equals negative 2. That's going to be our axis of symmetry. And then in order to find the y-coordinate of the vertex, we're going to plug this x value into our equation. So to find the y, we're going to plug in x equals negative 2. And we have y equals 3 times negative 2 squared plus 12 times negative 2 plus 8. And then we will evaluate that. So we have 3 times a negative 2 squared is 4. So this is going to be 3 times 4 minus 12 times negative 2 is a negative 24 plus 8. And that's going to give us y equals 12 minus 24 plus 8. 12 minus 24 is a negative 12. A negative 12 plus 8. Negative 12 plus 8 is going to be a negative 4. Okay, so we have our vertex at negative 2, negative 4. So now what we can do is we can go ahead and plot that. So we have our axes, which will be our x and y axes here. Negative 2, negative 4. And then another exact point that we're always going to know is our value of c. So since our equation was 3x squared plus 12x plus 8, we know that the y-intercept is always 0, c, whatever the value of c is, and that's just because for your y-intercept you always plug in x equals 0. So if we plug in x equals 0 here, that will cancel this term, me too, this term, and then we'll have 0, 8. So we'll plot that. Zero, 8. And since it's going to be, our axis of symmetry is x equals -2, then we know that we have this point is 2 away from our axis of symmetry, so we're going to have another point that is 2 away from the axis of symmetry. So that will be at -4 and +8. And then we can just draw our parabola. If you want to find other values, you can. And that is our parabola of 3x squared plus 12x plus 8.